of how to prepare the load test report, which will be shared with the end client after load test execution. Okay, so this is the report which this is the load test execution logs which was done for Sintel. Okay, Sintel application. So we have different logs, aggregate report, summary report, all those things. During load test, we can save it in .jtl format as well as .csv format. Okay, so I have used, normally I do both because sometimes if the log is too high, the consumption of the memory, it gets crashed. So that's the reason I have saved in both .jtl and .csv. So last class itself, last session itself, I have informed about how this logs can be saved via command prompt. What are the command which needs to be used and all. Okay. So now, if you see, one second, log script. So this is how the script will be. Just a minute. Jmeter. So normally I keep the or place the old file in archival and the new file separately, which is updated one outside. Okay, so here I'm launching the script. Okay, so now you can see that I'll also enlarge the screen size. Okay, so now you can see what all the important components that we have here. Normally while capturing the script, you will have HTTP cookie manager and cache manager. We can add it. These all comes. These are all plugins like header manager, user defined variables comes by default when you do the scripting or recording through Blazemeter, the Chrome plugin. Okay, so this is a thread group and this is the test plan. Okay, so this is a CSV data set which we have, which we will be using for test data when uploading the in to use in the script. Here I am using username and password. Okay, so once only controller, runtime controller, and once only controller. So I'll explain you the purpose of once only controller. Once only controller is normally used, as I've said, like during the load test, users have to log in and log out only once, but they have to do the action part multiple times, right? So action part will be given in the runtime controller. Login and launch is like just launching the application and logging, which the 500 users will be doing only once, and logging out of the application, which will be done at the end of the test, which is also only once. So during the test, they have to perform multiple iterations of these actions continuously. Cloud services, Sintel cloud services, select, subscribe, all those actions. So this is given, each transaction calls are given inside the respective transaction controller. Runtime controller, we can specify the time duration so that it will run for such a long time. Here we specify the time, like in thread group, we specify like the total duration, and in runtime controller also we specify the same time, because for such duration, the transactions or the users will keep running in inside this action part, and at the end they will come to log out and do the logout. Okay, so each transaction you can see and the calls inside the transactions. I have given the think time and transactions to be achieved. Think time is nothing but the waiting time between the two actions, which we have seen already. Pacing is nothing but after one iteration, the user has to wait for such a time and then he will do the next iteration. Okay, so pacing is, I have given, this is in milliseconds, so it is nothing but 388 seconds dot 6, 388.6 seconds. That is what it is. Here you can see the think time, it is 1.260. These are all based upon the calculations which I have derived. And you can see that simple data writer, which is used for storing the error logs. Normally error logs configure. These are all the parameters which are configured for error log. I will share the script as well with you so that it will be reference for you. And these are for success logs. Both error and success logs will be saved here. Okay, so I have given the aggregate report. Normally, I go with aggregate report to get the detailed, stats of the load test. Then what we have is think time and transaction. Transactions we achieved is nothing but the TPH. TPH here it is TPM, which is transactions per minute. Like how much transactions is to be achieved. Like normally, as per the logic, what Suresh has informed to me is like each. Uh, I mean. Uh, Per minute it should be like 500 request it should simulate like what to say like 500 requests it should be simulated by the script in a minute. That is what is the requirement. So accordingly I have configured these numbers, transactions to be achieved, transactions to be achieved. For all the transaction it will be the same. Okay, so so here you can see that what is the calculate throughput based all active threads in the current group. This should be thread when shared because when see like we have given 500 threads and any transaction can have any number of threads, and the combined transactions or combined throughput per minute is to be 56. So that is that is what we are saying here. Okay, so you can see the transaction and its calls and transactions. In all the transactions, I have configured the same think time and transactions to be achieved. Plugin to achieve the when whatever the SLA which is provided by Suresh. Okay. Okay.
But
So
Muthu, you said
yeah,
like 500 request has to be sent in a minute, right?
yeah, yeah.
But for this particular minute, we addressed it as only 56. So it means that only 56 transaction will be taken care at that particular minute.
56 request is nothing but 56 what do you call like 56
Users.
transactions. 56 request is nothing but 56 samples. So if you count the number of transactions here, we have one, two, three, followed by four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Okay, so 9 into what you call 56 is going to be what? Uh,
Okay, you mean to say like for each and every transaction, we have to split it up, like
yes,
take as a
504
500
request.
transaction. Oh,
So
okay, okay.
504 request for all the transactions. So that
Yeah,
is the reason I have given it. And it
yeah,
also has the embedded resource. Say like if you have this call, it has a follow redirect, which can call that CSS, JavaScript, any other components which is getting invoked when you run this call. So it all the other calls also will get invoked. So according to this number of requests, I have calculated as 504, but
yeah.
during the load test, it will increase automatically. So that is
Got
a okay.
yeah.
So this is a script for Sintel. So I'll share the script and I will show you exactly how the test report which I have done. I'll share this script with you in this post this what you call meeting. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So this is a test data which I have used for Sintel. So username and password. So for 500 users, even for 500 users, you can, give it more based upon the system, whether it can use the same user ID for multiple, it can use the same user for creating in multiple sessions or different user IDs for different session, depending upon the system configuration. But normally it is preferred that you give different or unique IDs so that you will get the realistic response time, not the same user ID, which will create the deadlock situation. Okay. So that is one thing. What else? It is loss. No. Then followed by this is how I run the test. See, when you run the test, when I start the test, I note down the time, and as it was configured in AWS instance, I have noted down the what do you call like a request, load balance the request, and then followed by HTTP count, which is going inside and HTTP. These are all some of the metrics which were configured in the AWS instance. So I've noted it down on different times. So when the test got over, then at that time, I have noted down the timings. So then followed by, how many instances were configured for those instances, CPU. If there were three instances, so three CPU instances graphs were metrics were taken, and you can see that read write RDS is nothing but database staging app database. For that read write utilization was taken. AppDB, for that read write utilization was taken. Then followed by free memory for AppDB. As we don't have memory parameter configured, we'll check the free memory. So which I mean, from starting the utilization was 6 point. I mean, there was no utilization. The free memory was 6.98, and during the load test, you can see it got. When it was decreasing, like from 0.01 GB of memory was used. Then platform DB, you can see the CPU utilization. Okay, this is how the server CPU utilization would be. This is RDS, once again database, platform DB CPU utilization. RDS read write for platform DB. Platform DB read write utilization is this much. Okay, so you can see that. Then followed by RDS memory staging platform. So these are all the metrics which were told or as a requirement. I have requested the team to configure, and they have configured, and I have taken it. Okay. So as part of Sintel testing, which we have done. Okay. So I will share the entire things as well. So 500 users aggregate report. This is how the load test report will be. So from this load test report, I'll just analyze the 90 percentile, 95 percentile, 99 percentile, min, max, errors, if any. So you can see if there are any errors, like see here, there are errors. So you can see which call is causing the error. So I'll have to check like how many calls was similar to this. I mean, have thrown errors during, and what is the error message? All those information I'll gather, and I will present it in the report. So that report will look like 1 second. This is a 500 users load test result log. This is how it will be like during the test, which we save the timestamp of the request call will be written, and the label request label will be done, and the response code, whether it is 200, 302, 500, or whatever it is, it will be written with the thread group name. Then followed by whether it is, I mean, if the request is success, I mean, which is passing, then it is true. If it is failing, then it is false. So you can see that bytes the request has sent, received, all those things, information will be available here. Okay. So then followed by we have 500 users load test result log. This is 1 second, 1 second. I'll see what is it. Nothing but the rough sheet. This is for preparing that report. I use the rough sheet. So 1 second. These are the graphs, like how many threads have been executed for how long duration, like 500 users for we have executed for 1 hour 25 minutes and 50 seconds. Then followed by what is bytes received per second and sent per second, that is represented in red and blue color. So then followed by the transactions, what is it called? Uh, Connect time is nothing but the time taken for the request to connect, or during the load test, all the requests will not be connecting to the server within a second or so. It will wait for some time, then it gets connected. So the connect time over the test duration is being given here. Then server hits per second, it is nothing but the hits which is sent from the Jmeter to the server, the number of hits that is given here. Okay. Then here the response code is the request which is sent. For that, whether the response HTTP response code is noted, that response code details are given here, like 200, 302, 304, 500, all those things. Then the transaction, here it is response latencies. I mean, all the transactions or requests which is connecting to the server are not getting processed immediately, because when the user load is high, say like 500 users are running the load test, I mean, there would be some network lag, or request will be taking some time. It will be waiting in some time, waiting during the, it will be say like the bandwidth utilization during the network, I mean, during the start of the test will be less, when during the mid of the test will be high, and during the end of the test will be less. So here during the mid of the test, or if you can see like the utilization keeps on increasing, which means like it is I mean the server is queued with more number of requests. In such case the request will be keep on queuing, and sometime if it is getting processed fastly, then all the requests will get processed. In some cases, if it gets queued more number, then the server will be getting lagged, or server will not be able to respond, or even server will be very slow. That is how we get high response time. Okay, so we have different transactions, and different transactions are represented in different colors. So how the transaction response time is appearing, I mean connect time for each I mean response latencies for each transaction we can see here. Then followed by response time for each transaction we can see, like what is the response time for all these transactions during the load test. Then we have number of transactions per second, like what is the maximum number of transactions that have been achieved during the load test. By each transaction we represent in different colors, but here at as it is clubbed, you will not be able to find it easily. Okay. Then followed by we have load test report. I'll show you the load test report how it looks like. See, normally, first we'll give the high level information of for which client or which user will be. Just give him 1 second. I'm getting a call. Uh, Sorry for that. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, just a moment. Okay. So what we are seeing is like a report, right? Okay, the report is like first we'll give that title of the application and title of the project, then followed by after the test whether it is like a go or no go, whether to say that whatever the SLA or the requirement is given by the client is as after the testing whether it is matching or it is less than that or it is more than that or it is meeting it, whatever it is we are giving it the objective of the test, why we are doing the performance test, and what kind of test we have which we have done, whether it is, I mean if it is success then which we will be representing it in green, if it is I mean um, like partially success and partially failed, then we will represent in amber. If it is completely failed, then we represent in red. So here I have given that there are few API calls which are deviating from the SLA. SLA is nothing but service level agreement, the response time of the API calls which are told that it should be less than or equal to 1.5 seconds, but it is more than 1.5 seconds. That is the reason I've updated. So those APIs have to be fixed, and retesting has to be done for the single application. That is given here. Then the next page, I have given the list of API calls which have thrown which is more than 1.5 seconds, and when the test was done with how many users, and what kind of test was done, whether it's success or failure, I'm giving here, and re-execution needed or not is specified here. Okay. Okay, then followed by test wise scenario. So when the test was done, what kind of test, date, time, duration, and how the users were ramping up, maximum users ramp up. I mean, ramp up is nothing but when I mean how within how many seconds all the users entered into the system, and steady state is nothing but how long the users were executing, I mean doing the actions, and ramp down is nothing but how in how many seconds all the users exit from the system. Total duration, the all the I mean you have to sum all this four and you will get the total duration. Step time out, we don't have it. Okay, so that is it. Then this is nothing but how many count of HTTP request we have sent from Jmeter, like 200 count, 302, 304 HTTP calls. Those are been noted separately, and count of total count of is given as well. Okay, so then followed by the transaction response time. So each transaction, what is the response time, total uses, and here as per the requirement provided by Suresh, it is like 90 percentile is more than enough. So he asked. So samples is nothing but 500 requests or 500 samples, the total count. So inside the 500 transactions, these are all transactions. The inside transaction, we can have many number of API calls. So as per our requirement, 500 transactions is to be achieved. Mm. So it is like 500 samples, 500 samples. There were few API calls which are failing, due to which, these transactions have performed very less. We could not achieve the 500 or so. Okay. So you can see the minimum response time, max response time, all those things. And 95th response time you can see here. Okay. Okay. Then these are the server configuration settings which were done in the Sintel server. Okay, so those things are mentioned here, and you can see it is configured. Servers are configured with 8 core CPU and cluster count is 4. These are some of the performance parameters which needs to be configured before the test run, so that when you run the load test, this will also help the server to perform well. If it is not configured, your server will not perform up to the mark, and your response time will be very high. Okay, these are some of the client side graph as we have seen. Threads, you can see active threads over time, bytes throughput over time. You can see hits per second. As we have seen just now, I have shown you the graphs. Connect time over time, then response codes per second, response latencies over time, then followed by response time over time, transactions per second. So there are 8 graphs. So here you can see the server graphs, which also I have shown or showcased, showcased to you, right? So these are the server graphs, like CPU of, then we have RDS database, we have platform and when app database, so on, CPU and memory utilization of each. So all those the informations will be is here. Okay. When you have to, for each project, depending upon the project and requirements, it can change or it can be same. Then followed by these are called this is the workload model. As you have executed the what you call, like, you have the script which has so many number of transactions, say like that, it has login, launch and logout. Login, launch and logout are 3 transactions which will execute only once. Only the action part of the script will be kept here, and as per the requirement, we have to perform 500 transactions, like 500 requests per minute. So accordingly, I have calculated this. So you can see how the formulas are calculated. I will share you the entire report, all those information with you, so you can see that. So you'll be able to understand. Okay, these are the think times which is configured and which is given inside the script. Okay, so that is one. This is the average transaction response time. This divided by what you call, like 11.4 divided by 9 will give you what you call, like, 1 second. 260 or 1250, whatever that is. This is the what you call like think time which is calculated. Totally we have how many transactions? We have 11.4 transaction. Okay, so based upon this I have calculated the think time, and I have updated, which I have showcased to you right now, right? So 11.4 divided by 9 will give you 1 point. This is something which is a round value which I have calculated and updated in the system, in the script for during the load test execution. Okay, so
Muthu
then
bro.
followed by whatever the errors which were observed in the load test is being updated here. It's updated here. Hello.
Muthu, I have one doubt, Muthu.
Yeah.
Actually, in that sheet, you have showing multiple sheets like response time, client side graphs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are the tester. We know these are the reports which will be generated from that Jmeter tool. So
Mm,
we need to submit one report to that our management. These are the APIs which, I mean, we have one requirement like all the APIs should have the response time less than 1.5 seconds means
mm,
we have to submit that report. These are the APIs are taking more than 1.7, I mean 1.5 seconds like that based on the requirements. So in that reports, we can able to understand, but how the manager will understand which one we need to give clear summary on that, right? So how to get that clear summary from
yeah.
these all these reports?
Yeah, you can see that. The API calls which have, which were failing, and the reason for the API calls failing with the response code, all those things are given here. The API calls which were failing and elapsed time, all those information, and it has the API calls which has the high response time. So these are the information. What was told for the Sintel performances is like API should not go beyond 1.5 seconds. If the API is going beyond 1.5 seconds, it should be reported so that development team will fix it, and then we have to do the retesting of the same. So,
So
hello.
yes, yes, Muthu. So our goal is we have to get the APIs, whatever the APIs is going more than, or I mean, based on the requirement, like the time,
Yes, yes.
response time, as well as the status codes of all the
Yeah.
APIs,
I
like
mean,
500, whatever.
yes, yes, 500, 200, all those information. So I have reported the API calls which are failing, and the reason for the same is also given here. Also, the API calls which is taking more response time, more than 1.5 seconds, which is a SLA, and which is also reported. So that after which development team started to work on this and fix it for the next iteration or so, and based upon that, we have done the testing. So I will share these contents.
Okay.
So this is how the detailed report is being done by my from my side, and I've been doing and sharing it with the team. Okay, so I'll do 1 second. What does it? Uh, 500. Okay, 500 users. Okay, 500 users. Okay. One second. Okay. So inside that itself, I have zipped the folder. So inside that itself, you have the script, all the details of what I have done for the load test. So you can unzip it and you can check it. So, and also the test report also I have attached. So I think so. This is the how reporting is done for Jmeter. I mean, this is how the report is done for any project from my side after the load test. Okay, so let me know if anyone has any queries.
No, Muthu, while doing the hands-on, we'll come to you. Like today, I've started like installation and segregation of transaction controller, all those things. So maybe
Okay,
going forward, I'll progress on all those things, and then we'll let you know on the doubts. Muthu.
sure, sure. Yeah, no issues. Yeah. So I mean, I think. Yeah, I mean, we have completed the JMeter session, and I will let you know when I'll start this pen test session as well. So, meantime, if you have any queries, just ping me. We can connect and do it. Yeah.
Muthu bro, and another one doubt, after that performance tuning of all that APIs, how many iterations we have to do
Sorry.
to, I mean, once we reported that issues, these are the APIs we have issues like performance issue. So once we reported, then developers will do the performance tuning for all those APIs, right? So after that, how many times we have to do that iteration again testing?
I mean, see, say, there are two ways of doing it. One is like you have reported it, the team will fix, and once again you have to do it. The same, whether it is if they have done any UI changes or scripting level changes, then you have to do the rescripting, then test data you have to do all those things you have to do and run the test. The other way is like you have reported it and the team will fix and they will let you know whether it can be done in the same release or next release, and after which you have to do ad hoc kind of testing. Ad hoc kind of testing is something like it comes randomly and then you have to do the testing, then you have to report it. So it is not like with the same release after you report within next week or so it will be fixed and you have to do the retesting. It depends upon whether the development team or the business wants the fixes to be done immediately, then they will do it and we have to do the retesting. If not, then before the next release or by next release, the retesting has to be done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's it from my side. And if anyone has any more queries, you can check. Yeah,
Uh, yes, Muthu, I have one question. So,
yeah.
as part of the load test, the response time is the only parameter, is the outcome of response load test, or do we have any other parameters also to check its?
Response time is one of the SLA. We have some other metrics like CPU, memory, disk, network. We have CPU, like CPU should be not reaching above 75%, or memory should not be reaching above 75% or 80%. Or we have disk read and write. They will be given some values like 25 reads per second or 30 reads per second or so. Then network utilization, the bandwidth utilization should not be completely utilized. Then the network would be choking or so. Or if say like for a normal load test 5 mbps to 10 mbps of network bandwidth is required. See, like we normally connect with 100 gbps or so, or 10 gbps, whatever it is. So during the load test the network utilization should not go beyond like 60% or 70% of the actual bandwidth. If it is going beyond that, then it will have an impact in the network latency, jitter. There are many other parameters. So based upon the application and the client requirements, these can be the same. These parameters, important parameters, which I have said, can be the same or it can change. Say project to project, it cannot be apple to apple comparison. Every project has its own requirements. So for some of the project, client will require all the parameters to be checked. For some of the parameters, for some of the project, it can be like only the response time alone, or just basic parameters, which CPU on a high level, memory on a high level, disk on a high level. If a client wants more information, why the API call is taking more time, or the server parameter, there can be many other information, like we can go with thread dumps, heap dumps to analyze, and then further tweak the application server. Okay, so for Sintel, I think these were the information told by Suresh. So accordingly, I have generated the report and updated.
Okay, Muthu, thanks.
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I believe you can practice and you can do your own research on it, and let me know if any queries during whenever you have whenever you practice or you explore in Jmeter, so that I can help you with your queries. This video will also be available to all of you, and I'll also make a note of the link so that in future, for reference, I can share it with the platform people. So for now, our session is over with JMeter. Pen test, I will update you. Okay.
Sure, sure, Muthu. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much, team. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Muthu.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Thank you, Muthu.